Hello, welcome to CE seminar, Environmental and Water Resource Engineering. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce Camille. She was my master student. In fact, she is the person who joined my lab as an undergrad and continue to do research for her master's thesis. And Camille will talk a lot about her experience in the lab as well as beyond the lab, what she has been doing to find a job. She has multiple interview recently, so I thought this will be interesting as well as informative for many of the students who are doing masters now. And few things I want to talk about Kami is Kami joined my lab in 2017 when she was in her fourth year as a research as a volunteer. She helped one of my master students, Alex Berger. He's also working in the industry right now. And something, she has a background in environmental science with environmental engineering as a minor. And what stand out for me about Kami is that she didn't know a lot of things, but she has a desire and she has very good work ethic. When I say work ethic, she even she doesn't know something, she wanted to know. She will work hard. You will see a lot of times. She is so determined that sometimes she will stay till very late in the lab, which I'd never recommend. It's not me asking them to work late, but just because she take time off, do something else, she took the responsibility. She said, "I'm going to finish it in time that I promise." So I think there are lots of positive attribute for Kami that I can go on and on. So let's hear from Kami and see. You'll her presentation speak for herself. So Kami, welcome. Thank you for doing this for our students.
Thank you, Sanjay, Mommy, and thank you for having me as a speaker for today's seminar. It's my pleasure as well. Years ago, I was a master's student at UCLA, so I would want to share my experience, perspective for the program and what I get trained and what I have achieved during the program as well. And also the last part is, of course, the job market and the job tips during the COVID-19. A little bit about myself. My name is Camille. I got my bachelor degree in environmental science and engineering, master degree in water resources and environmental engineering, both from UCLA. After my graduation in December 2019, I have been working as a junior development engineer at CE department, and my focus is research and develop a stormwater green infrastructure with sustainable material like biochar and the soil compaction affected on it. So this was me collecting soil sample during one of my field trips, and I was also trained the new master and PhD student in conducting the lab experiment, show them how to inject the storm water into the biofilter storm water from the bottom to the top. And beside work, I like camping, hiking, reading, or playing with my dog at home. And I'm also a vegetarian. I don't know anyone here is vegetarian. I think it's very common for environmental science major as well, though. So let's first talk about the agenda. First is the masterpieces, and then I will cover the my experience as a grad student, and lastly is the job search part. First, let's talk about my master's thesis research. Does anyone know what is the major problem of stormwater runoff? The problem is the pollution is actually come from everywhere. For example, when you have the rainfall event and when the water is deposited onto the surface of your road, street, or the house, it will go to the drainage and carrying everything on its way, right? For example, you have the sediment or the dust from the construction site, you have trash, trees, branches, oil, paint over here, and then also bacteria and pathogen from your pet waste and nutrients from your garden pesticide herbicides. This is such a major problem, and as an engineer we try to solve it before it's reached the drainage, because after reaching the drainage, everything is dumped into the river or ocean and polluting our water bodies. And one of the most effective method is using the green infrastructure to capture all this contaminant. And what is the green infrastructure? Green infrastructure is any type of plant or soil system that you use to absorb the excess water and kind of filter any kind of pollutant. For example, basically, if you have stormwater runoff from your road and it's go to the roadside green infrastructure over here, the contaminant will be kept by the plant and the material beneath it. Then the clean water will get out of your system. But one of the challenge for the roadside green infrastructure is the soil might be compacted due to the road construction. And we don't know how our system behave under the compaction, if the material used beneath it break, or if there's any negative impact in the stormwater treatment as well. Those are also the objective of my master thesis, which is part of the Caltrans project, is to develop a soil amendment guidance for the construction of the roadside green stormwater infrastructure, which can exhibit three characteristics. First, it has high infiltration despite compaction, high contaminant removal despite compaction, and also they have a long lifetime performance for cost effective. So if you look at the picture to the right, you know that the soil when compacted is very dense, right? In order to increase the pore space, we need some bulking agent like sand. But sand doesn't treat contaminant. That's why we need to add the biochar to treat pollutant. And by combining sand and the biochar, it gives you a perfect system for flood minimization, but also preserve your water quality. But also, what is biochar and why is it effective? So biochar is the product when you burn your garden waste from the trees, the branches, the dry leaves at very high temperature, around 400 to more than 1,000 Celsius degree, without oxygen. Then you kind of get a cold-like substances, and that's called biochar. And the reason why we use the biochar because it's very porous and it has a high surface area. As you see here, there's a lot of hole in the biochar body, which kind of retain water and all the contaminant in here. So it's keep all the contaminant in the absorption side for the plant uptake later as well. And finally, because the biochar is very resilient, it takes such a long to biodegrade, and it's such a cost-effective method. But one of the challenges for using biochar is also the question for my compaction study is we don't know how does biochar size affect by breaking under the compactions and what size is more appropriate for stormwater application. And we don't know how compaction affects the stormwater infiltration capacity of our biofilter and how long will it get clogged. Also, does compaction affects the bacterial removal capacity? In order to answer the question, I have conducted the lab experiment in which I mixed biochar size with different sizes and with the sand and then compacted into the column. This was me like 24/7 in the lab, compacting, compacting, and compacting. And finally, I have a beautiful 9 compaction columns. Well, without counting so many euro before. And then after that, after compacting, I inject the stone water from the top to the bottom, collecting the alkaline, and then test for clogging, test for hydraulic conductivity, and bacterial removal as well. What we found out is the small biochars appear to break more than the large biochar, and what could be the reason for it? In order to answer these, I coated the biochar surface with a dye before compacting, and then monitor the concentration of the dye in the broken biochar leaching from the system. So I want to explain a little bit more about the steps over here. Fragmentations, which is mean breaking in half, and oppression, which is mean the biochar particle is grouping against each other, and then all the five particles will release. So imagine if you kind of like putting the dye onto the surface of the biochar. If the biochar breaking in half, you don't have a lot of dye inside. And because of that, the concentration inside will only be, the concentration of the dye inside of the biochar particles is only lower than outside, right? Because she tends to bark. And this is what happened at the small biochar particle. The splitting in half fragmentation is the dominant breakage mechanism in small biochar, while in large biochar, as you see, because of their relative size to the sand, they have a lot of sands around it. It's just like bodyguard, and when the compaction apply on it, they just uh, they just like scooping just a little bit from outside, and for the large, and that's why the large biochar is break small that sorry, it's break less than the small biochar in this case. For bacteria removal capacity, um, by looking to the graph, the x-axis is the cumulative stormwater injected, and the y-axis is the E. coli removal rate. As you can see, the small biochar shows a very consistent in removing the bacteria removal, but the medium and the large biochar show a high rate at the beginning, but then decrease with the cumulative volume injected, which is indicate a decrease in biochar size during the compaction could improve the contaminant removal. And but another question we want to know is how long does the system sustain prior to clogging? And because you compaction kind of decrease the infiltration capacity of the biofilter, like the picture A, you can see the y-axis is the hydraulic conductivity. All the biochar size show a decrease with the shorter suspended solid in the system. And we was thinking if we can develop a model that can predict clogging ahead of time, it will save time for maintenance schedule later. And so we developed an empirical model in which is very simple. If you know the average particle size of your biofilter, you plug it in, it will give you how much hydraulic conductivity decreased to compare with initial hydraulic conductivity. And then you can plan your schedule maintaining ahead over time. And the implication for the study is if you use small biochar, this will increase the locking of your biofilter and you will need to maintain it more frequently. Yes, that's this takeaway for my compaction study. We know that the main breakage mechanism of biochar is by splitting in half. And the small biochar will break more than the large biochar, and it's really depending on the goal of your biofilter. If you want to put the biofilter somewhere, flood is a problem. You want to put the large biochar because it's increasing filtration capacity. But if somewhere is pollution is demand problem, so you want to put the small biochar to increase the bacteria removal rate under the compactions. I really hope my study is helpful in the term of shortening the time of designing any of urban stormwater treatment system, and by selecting appropriate site range for compaction minimization and also pollutant removal as well. And those are the last slide for my master thesis research. Now it's the part for my sharing of my experience as a grad student at UCLA. I hope this will be really helpful for you. So For me, I think the most important one is determine your goal. If you want to go to PhD program later or you want to get in industry job, because when you know it ahead of time, you can plan your activity throughout the year regarding to the skills and experience that you want to get. And the second thing is, does anyone tell you that the homework in grad school is way longer and harder to compare with undergrad homework? Some homework will take like a week to finish, so it's better if you start early. Don't procrastinate it the night before it. And also work in a team. I think that is more effective because it's like if you have so many problem, you can do question A and then your peers can do question 2, and then you guys just can explain to each other. And just remember, the first quarter will be kind of stressful and you might not get enough sleep at all. But don't worry, everything will be familiar to you in the second quarter. And finances tracked. I know that you have only 1 hour for Monday or Wednesday lecture or Tuesday or Thursday lecture, but go above and beyond the lecture. Sometimes anything professor put on the PowerPoint slide doesn't make any sense. So it's better if you, that's what I found is helpful, is if you read everything by yourself before it. Go with the assigned reading will be really helpful for you in terms of improve your own knowledge about the topic. And also look for internship now, and because a lot of hiring recruiters happening during fall. I know that you just entered a program and you feel like you don't have a lot of experience, you haven't taken a lot of classes, but really don't worry about it because put everything you have on the resume, and because the student status will help you get the internship easily. And the second thing is try to join student organization. And for the water people, ASCE and AWWA are the very powerful student organization because industrial people pay to have an info section at UCLA. And by that way, you increase your network. You kind of have industry knowledge about what's happening outside of the school. And also the recruiting might happening during the info section as well. By getting to know them, you kind of increase the chance of getting the internship or the job later. And for women in STEM, Society of Women Engineers is very high, is highly recommended because they have a lot of workshop or webinar focusing on women development as well. Okay, for research track, there's a lot to say. So in the first quarter, you will learn 2 important skills. First is learn to read, scan, and scheme the important information through reading of hundreds and hundreds of research paper. And then you kind of learn how to write. It's like how to write your method, how to write your introduction to your paper. And the second most important thing is get to know your advisor, research advisor, your lab mate, or your college working style, because everyone working style is different, right? By getting to know their working style and personality, it will help you teamwork better and avoid a conflict as well. For example, some people need to be informed regularly. Some people it's like you can take whatever you need, you can take whatever time, I mean not time, whatever resources it has, as long as it gets the result done. So by knowing different type of personality and working style, it will help you a lot and survive through the grad school. And finally, don't be afraid of failures because your experiment will be failed a lot of the time. Your writing will be corrected by your advisor 99.99% of the time, but it's such a step in your growth process. The more you fail, the more you learn. Just keep your enthusiasm and your energy high. And beside all the academy things, just remember you need a work-life balance as well. I know that this is COVID time, and maybe many of you cannot be in the Westwood Village. This is particularly my experience. I hope one day it will be helpful for you when the COVID is over, though. So, like Westwood, they have a lot of farmer markets. You can enjoy every Thursday, or you can go to the Force Theory over here, which usually have the movie premiere, and you will likely get to see your famous celebrity here as well. And go to and also Hammer Museum is free for UCLA students. And beside all these destinations, don't forget to make friends of your college, your lab mate, your classmate, because now it's like our concentration is narrow and narrow. You're only water people, right? So the people who you are seeing in this year might become your future college of life. So be nice to everyone and connecting with them. And remember, work-life balance is important. Um, this slice is particularly my experience about food and all that stuff. I particularly like Trader Joe because everything is cheaper. It's offer a lot of vegan options as well. And so here are the very good coffee place in town. And have anyone know that UCLA is like ranked the best college food in the country for last year and this year. So if you have a chance later, when the COVID is done, I really recommend it. You try out dog food. You won't be regret, I'm sure. And for professional development, career fair is a must to visit because they offer a mock interview and then also resume helper as well. And for the career fair, go to career fair tomorrow. They have engineer and tech fair and also ASC career fair. I believe it will be held in November and January. And for anyone interested in getting the certificates beside your engineer study, you can check Brune Home Solutions or the IOES. They offer some sustainable certification as well. And okay, I want to share how, like, what I get trained during my master program. The number one is the writing skill. The writing, because the writing skills is very important in both academia and industry. So after my master program, I was able to publish 2 papers, and we are submitting another paper in just 1 year. And you will be trained in critical thinking as well through class project, research work, by figuring out how to answer your hypothesis. And you will learn how to interpret and visualize data. I think this is a very important skills because in today, every job you need to look at the data, right? You look at the number, you need to know the story behind it. You need to know, okay, what is the meaning of those numbers? Is there any risk and is there any error? And then what you can do with those numbers. So data analysis is important skills. And I also learned how to communicate and network through working with my advisor, my lab mate, and also going to the conference. So here was a picture of me with my peers in American Society conference back in last August. And I was also invited as the speaker for LA Public Works to talk about using biochar in stormwater treatment. I think it's such a great experience for me. And finally, it's the last two important skills. Well, like important skills all the time. As you learn how to work as a team whenever it's needed, because as a grad student, you will work with PhD student, with your professor, and also you will need to train with undergrad. You train undergrad as well. So it's just like you learn team collaboration and also time management skills. Um, there's class, there's projects, there's people to deal with, and I think those are helpful in terms of you are still in academia environment. It's kind of harder than undergrad, but it's give you kind of a transition phase to go to the real world and for to go to the real world, right? I think those are everything I have for my grad school experience. And I will go to the last part, which is the most exciting part, is the job search during the COVID-19. So one thing is, what is the job market? The recruiting process is affected by COVID-19, both in public sector and the private sector. Some positions in the government agency are no longer hired until further notice due to financial crisis. Internship is temporarily closed because they want to avoid in-person contact. But I know LA DWP is hiring, so come to see them at tomorrow fair. And LA Sanitation offer a lot of virtual internship this year, as well as they will hire a lot of student professional workers as well. So here is the website of LA Sanitation. You can go check them and find any internship for the summer position. And then for the private sector, it's really depending on the firms. Some like big firms, small firms, some lays off, but some hires more. Particularly is from the construction sites. You know, the project they have is keep going, so they still need to hire new entry level people as well. But also some firm is offer remotely working. It's good to ask them what is the condition when you go to the interview. And also, I it's like you have to expect that it's temporary, part-time, or seasonal role at this time, beside a full-time job, because everything is very uncertain, and the employer is kind of try to gather all their resources, and they don't have the information for maybe next year is maybe economic crisis next year, so they kind of don't know what to do next. And what I know is Tetra Tech is not hiring because they don't have any new project. They only keeping the current project. And the picture to the right is the company will attend tomorrow fair. Rambo and Aircom is a civil engineering firm, and I know that they are opening for some entry level. And I'm sure that you're working remotely because I have some friends working there now. And then, okay, what to prepare during the uncertain time? It is only makes yourself more competitive. Learn the hard skill, which is on demand right now. Is it's all about data science, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchains will be very trending in the future. As I said, data analysis is very important. So it's better if you can learn how to use R, any statistical analysis software like R and Python is very helpful. And then design skills, Adobe, AutoCAD, photo illustration, mapping skill like GIS. Those are what the employers are looking for. And I know that school might not teach a lot of these, but you can learn those skills through the online platform like Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, or Udemy. For Coursera, everything is free. But if you want to get like kind of certificate, you have to pay like $50 for it. And the good thing about Coursera is you can get professional certification from like IBM, from the big school in the AI. But then you have to pay more for the membership for it. And LinkedIn Learning, if you have the premium LinkedIn account, LinkedIn Learning is become free for you. You can learn everywhere. And beside hard skills, soft skills are important. I talked to employer. They said any degree you have, bachelor, master, anything below PhD, which means you are good to retrain. So when you have your degree, they automatically think that, okay, you're qualified to train. Now I'm gonna looking for your soft skill. I'm gonna look for how adaptable you are. If you are able to pick up the new technology, if you are easy to change, and if like creativity, if you're open to innovation, you're open mind, or you conservative, just like to do project or things at the same place. And finally, storytelling communication is what the employers are only looking for. They don't want to have someone's only doing the project and then going home and don't know how to interact with the college, because communication is a sign saying that um, you will have a good performance under teamwork. And never stop improving yourself and your positions with networking, being active, and research your market value. I know that you can go to ASCE websites, not UCLA ASCE, but national ASCE websites, and they have kind of like a salary report for you. So you know, okay, with master, with this credential, with bachelor, how much my value in the market right now. And it will give you kind of like an helpful insight whenever you go to negotiate for your position. And yeah, as a student, I it's better if you can take the FE exam as soon as possible, because some jobs require EIT. And this is also the one the employer look to get you out of the job, to the candidate pile. They will look for, okay, do you have master? Do you have EIT? Do you have this credential? If not, okay, you out. So it's better you get it early as soon as possible when you're in school, or just get out of school, because everything is still fresh in mind and it's not that hard to knock it out. It will maybe take you 1 or 2 months to prepare for it, and you're good to go. One special thing is during the COVID-19, you are required to wear masks all the time during your 5 hour exam, during your break time as well. And don't forget to take care of your mental health. I know it's COVID time, everything is stressful. Connect with your friend, talk to them, relax. It's just like me. I was playing with my 3 dogs at home. And then don't read news that bother you, but instead focus on adding your skills. And also, don't compare you with other. Don't compare you to others, because you're unique and you have a unique values about yourself as well. So it's okay to cry, to stress, but then come back later stronger. And I do think this is a very special time. That is the only time you can lead a slow life, to really think about yourself. It's just like go back to your inner self, have some self-assessment, ask yourself what is the most important values, what do you want to do in the future, and plan your career. Enjoy your time with your families or friends, and focusing on finish your master strong at UCLA. Because imagine at this time, everyone will go back to school to get a master, will get a PhD. And then for the job market right now, a lot of master is like agree to take the the bachelor jobs with the lowest salary. So the competitive rate is really high. So just focusing on finish your master strong because master degree will be a new standard in the future. And I think I'm all done with my presentation today. I really want to thank you, my advisor, Dr. Mohanty, because he was so hard on me on the first quarter when I was knowing nothing. I was like staying in the lab up until 12 or 1 a.m. in the morning, trying to figure out how to build a column or try to like find the information that he gave me. But at the end, I am really grateful because from environmental science major, I don't know deeply about engineering. Without his pushing a lot on me, I don't think I can be where I am right now. And I'm really thankful for all of my lab mates in SILA because they are just create a very unique and comfortable environment for me to work on. Thank you so much, everyone. And don't forget to follow us on here. I put my lab website, and also we have Instagram over here. And so finally, this is my contact information. If you have any question about grad school or about the job at this time, please feel free to reach out to me because I will be more than happy to answer all of your questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Cami. I don't know how to clap, but I have a reaction button here. So I was clapping. Um, any question? Feel free to speak up, or you can type on the chat window, and I'll mention that.
I have a question. It's about the membrane. Um, so once the membrane's been used, how do you guys dispose of it?
Oh, first of all, I don't use membrane. It's called Biochar membrane. It's different. For Biochar is when it's kind of out of line, actually we have to like scoop everything and then put the new thing in. Yeah.
The design lifetime of any stormwater treatment system is roughly 15 to 20 years. So when we are talking about replacing, that's the timeline we are thinking, 20 years. So it's pretty long.
I see. Thank you.
Any question related to job, because she is the one who has a. So Kami, I'll ask questions because I know a lot of students ask me these questions. What do you think? You had lots of interviews. It's a very loaded question. How do you prepare yourself for the interview and to do well? So tell us about your
Um,
preparation method.
it, I think the trick is thinking turning it into the conversation rather than they interviewing you. Just look at the job and just have in mind, okay, I have my value. I know my value. I am finding the job that fit me as well. It's not you are finding and finding anyone that work for your company. So with that mindset, I go to the interview and then I become really natural, and then I have conversation with them rather than waiting for them to be asked. And also it's also shows your employer that you're interested in the job as well. And one thing I can share is when you have an interview with the human like HR, it might be different when you have the interview with the higher level like senior project management or the vice president, because HR they usually go through tell me about yourself, what is your strength, what is your weakness. But at the higher level, they might have the same question but asking a different way. For example, they might come up with a conversation like, oh, like politics topic about, oh, I don't think wearing masks is this is that. But by having a conversation, they are testing your communication skills and then kind of like know if you know how to come back from a very outsider topic to go back to talk about your background and your skills. That is the higher level interview. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? Because I don't want to keep asking.
I had a question.
All right, go ahead, Tony.
This is Tony. So because you've had various interviews, what do you think you focus on more when talking to these to the HR people? Do you think you talk about them about your MS experience and the research you've done, or let's say if you have internships experiences in prior years, do you which one do you focus more on, academia or professional experiences?
I will try to talk a little bit of everything. That's why they probably go through your resume, but they want to hear from your speaking. That's why I usually have like I practice my pitch, which is like description about yourself, which you include your internship. I have been working with a hydraulic model, or I have been working with research about this and this and this, and then give them your what is your achievement, like okay, I published 2 papers about this and this. I skill in team collaboration, verbal and written communication, or time management, or mentoring new research trainee. So just like keep a little bit of everything. That is the question for tell me about yourselves, they usually ask. And then from that statement, they will ask from there. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about your internship experience? What is your favorite internship experience? And then you can just expand from it.
To add on to that, because I have interacted with many industry people for proposals, and one thing they mention is that conversations. Now, how you can initiate a conversation about something meaningful that for their value. For instance, you can talk about class. These are the class I took. So it's very important to say what you did a little bit. It could be just simple volunteer work in some programs, or it could be research experience. A lot of students may not have research experience, which is okay, but if you so that's why it's very important to engage in some kind of these professional organization, so that you have some experience there as a volunteer. So I think having a story is very important, and that story start with you working in something other than this class.
Yeah, and I agree with Professor Mohanty. And I also want to add, the employer doesn't care if it's internship, PAT, or unpaid volunteer, as long as you have experience. And the trick is ment- maintaining the flow in the conversation. So if you think you didn't mention it in the first question, don't worry about it. Like just keep the conversation going and flowing, and then at to the point, okay, that is the point. You can bring all your achievement and your skill up, and you just bring it up. Just treat it as a conversation rather than interview. It will work.
Any
Thank
question?
you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? We still have 4 minutes. Well, Kami, I have a questions. All the questions that I remember being asked. Um, so I think a lot of times people, when they think of interviewing in a company, the basic thing they do is the look at the company's background, all that stuff, so that they can talk about their awareness. So there is always the pressure of preparing either too much technical aspect of the job. For instance, are they going to ask lots of questions on techniques or technical aspect, or something more on the non-technical aspect, like like who you are as a person, what you like, what you dislike, how do you work, your strength, weakness. In your experience in this interview, what percentage of your questions are from technical side, and what percentage are from non-technical side, based on your experience?
I think it depends on what kind of sector that you have an interview with. For the government sector, is examinations. So there's 2, 3 people is asking you really fast, like didn't let you to have time to think. And for public sector, there's more technical questions rather than behavioral, or maybe it's because they have 2, 3 rounds, so it's kind of like split equally among the rounds. And for the consulting firm, usually is more casual. Is I feel it's more comfortable because it's just like talking, having conversation. And at first, HR is only behavioral, and for other route, it will go to technical, but I don't think it's a lot. As long as you know, okay, that's your major. What is your like? What do you like? Water, wastewater, stormwater, or recycled water. And because you like it, you already have a certain amount of knowledge. You just need to review it, and it just like decide what you want to talk more about your technical skill, like what size of the skills. Then read more about it, and then you can just bring it up to them.
Great. And how many of the interview you had? Do you have any interview in person, or is that all right now via Zoom or online?
I have in person.
You have in person, okay.
Yeah, at first it was scheduled virtual because it's with 3 round, and I passed 2 round. I think I passed, but it didn't say pass or no. And then it was like, oh, for the third round, instead of meeting in virtual, do you want to meet in person? I was like, okay, then, and come to the person. Yeah, and one side is if they really like you, they will go beyond the time. For example, you have only 30, they said you have 30 minutes for the interview, but then if they like you have like an hour or an hour and a half just talking.
Yeah, I think to wrap up, interviews. A lot of times people think for them to talk, to answer questions, but a lot of times also asking a good questions back to them is more important. So always think of what's the question to ask. Uh, so prepare for those things, all that. Again, Kami, I thank you for coming here, and I'm sure lots of students find it really valuable. And I like to say that there are some questions on chat window. They really like to see those links. So I'll share the link for this Google slide to all of you through Professor Mekon and Gabriel. So we will share that slide. So you'll have access to those
I
through
think
the email list.
we can download it as a PowerPoint and then we can just send them PowerPoint. It will be easier.
I think Google Slide is easier because that you don't have to, the size effect is not there, because this they're downloading from there. But either way is fine. And also I like to say that good luck with your job search, even though you are working with us as long as you can. But I really wish you good luck for potential job. Our lab alumni are in those jobs in a government and private sector. So I'm sure in future you will do. And of course, I'll always offer you for PhD position if you ever want to come back, because you did so well. But I don't think PhD is needed for everybody. I would rather discourage all of you to do PhD if you unless really want it, because it takes a lot more commitment for a few years. All right. Well, thank you, Cami, and thank you all for joining. You have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next week, same time for the seminar.
I also want to thank you, Sanjay and Professor Makani. It's just like giving me an opportunity to looking back all of my valuable memory as UCLA as a student. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Yeah,
we
Camille,
all,
great presentation. Thank you.
we all enjoyed it. This is different than our typical presentations. All right. I guess I will stop recording now. Thank you all again.